So I think a somewhat theologically reverent homily would spend a considerable amount of energy engaging with the visitors who showed up under the boughs of the oak tree in Mamre. And that's because a significant number of Christians point to this passage as one of the instances in which the Trinity shows up in the First Testament. And in one of his great works on icons, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, goes into great detail about this, explaining how the artist Rublev depicted what is known in iconography as the hospitality of Abraham, and the subtleties countless interpreters see in things like the folds of the visitors' robes, the colors they are wearing, and the length of their hair as signs of those that point to what person of the Trinity they actually are. As a matter of fact, in certain circles, the name of the icon has been changed from the hospitality of Abraham to reflect this Christian interpretation, and thus it is also known as the Trinity. You probably can buy that icon in the bookstore, should you like. And if your icons are your thing, I know she's not here right now, but see Mary Jo Peterson, because she's read every book in my library about them. You know, something else I think that's interesting is that the original work was in fact titled The Hospitality of Abraham, when old Abe is just out front hollering back to Sarah to do all the work. The hospitality of Abraham indeed, right? Yeah, okay. And so what really captures my attention today is not so much what Abraham is doing in Genesis, but what Sarah does. And Sarah laughs, right? Rarely do we see Sarah depicted in art. And I find that odd because elsewhere in Genesis, we learn that she is said to be, or have been, one of the most exquisitely beautiful women in all the world. And instead, the story shifts as it frames her laugh as the meaning behind her son's namesake. And from what we know of Isaac, he shall live up to his name in the weeks to come. You'll hear his story. And so I want to ask you a question. Have you ever laughed at God? See some head shaking no back there. Well, it's okay if you did. I think God can handle that. And here's where I'd like to switch gears a little bit, but stay with the theme of laughter, particularly how it relates to us Christians. Of all the writings on theory and aesthetics, ancient, medieval, or modern, the most important is indisputably Aristotle's Poetics, the first philosophical treatise to propound a theory of literature. In Poetics, Aristotle writes that he will speak of comedy, but there is no further mention of comedy. He also says that he will address catharsis, and give an analysis of what is funny, as he would know, right? But he does not actually address any of those ideas, in fact. Thus, the surviving Poetics that we do have is incomplete, leading some scholars to believe that what is and what we have is only a part, and that the second book is lost. Modern novelists have run with this idea, indeed going as far as to pit two monks against each other in one book, debating whether or not Christ laughed. It sounds quite absurd, but one just has to think of the uproar surrounding the piece of art known as The Laughing Christ by Willis Wheatley in the early 70s to think twice about whether that is really true or not. It's either that or the fact that The Laughing Christ made its periodical debut in Playboy. Who knows? There we go. Okay, we'll get some laughter. One of the reasons that laughter has been deemed not so funny in some sects of Christianity is based on a judgment that it promotes doubt. Umberto Eco, an Italian novelist, used this as a catalyst in his work, The Name of the Rose, claiming that perhaps Aristotle's Poetics would counter that judgment and turn comedy into an appropriate object of philosophical inquiry. Whereas before, in such austere medieval religious orders, laughter that arose from comedy was commonly regarded as base entertainment, and a defense for the simple. Aristotle's Poetics would have then elevated laughter to the realm of art, causing the perpetually serious to fear that if the doors of the world of the learned were open to comedy, it soon would become the object of philosophy, and then of theology. Oh no, God forbid. And thus the leaders of the church in Echo's work feared that laughter of the learned would be much more dangerous than the laughter of the simple. And nothing could be further from the truth, because, believe it or not, Scripture holds an immense amount of humor. One just has to read the book of Acts, when people are walking around naked in the middle of the day. Did Sarah doubt? Perhaps. But she was not simple, nor was she wrong to do so. It is natural to doubt what is humanly absurd, like having a baby at 122 years old. For in the search for truth, doubt is not opposite of faith. The opposite of faith is certainty. Doubt has its place in humanity's search for God, and thus when claims are overtly preposterous, even if they come from God himself, some will laugh. And God, instead of punishing us for doubting, will remain faithful, even when we say we didn't laugh in the first place. You know, hearing folks laugh is probably one of my most favorite sounds, second only to the silent laugh. You know, the laughs where you look at folks and wonder if you should try another joke or call the paramedics. Laughter has its place here too. At least I hope it does. Margot has a good one. The Phares family, well, the Phares women, they all cackle. I wonder what Sarah sounded like. And when was the last time you laughed?